Alright, so welcome to another cheap hammer battle report. Today is going to be the typical vampire counts against the high elves. Now, I said typical. Typical is just empire against high elves. But as I said before, we're gonna play with the armies that we have at hand. I'm trying my vampire count, so I'm going to stick with them, going to fight with them for a little bit till I get a hang of what units work and anything, and use different units and different compositions to see what works best. My brother just he likes using his high elves, so he's just going to remain using them. But anyway, we got the desert battle. I got this new scenery which I acquired, which is those like I got the Manetsi. It's bones of monster bones that can really, when they are painted, they're going to look much better. But it's like it goes really well with the theme of sort of like the Badlands or places where the orcs could live. So we're playing at the Badlands. It's going to be battle number 2, I think it is, from the match book. Um, I think it's the one that has 3 objectives. Each time that you control an objective, you get 50 victory points. And there's one in the middle, and there's 2 on each side of it. So it's this kind of and this is the deployment. It's like in a diagonal way. Anyway, so for my deployment, for my army composition, I got a starting from the left, from the right, yeah, from the left, sorry, all the way to the right. I got a, small unit of ghouls over there, then 5 hounds. Uh, yeah, the undead hounds. A big block of 40 grave guard with the corpse guard in the back. Big unit of 60 skeletons. Behind of it, there's a unit of 20 zombies. There's a couple of and one unit of crypt horrors, I think it was, with 2 vampire counts on the back, probably my battle standard bearer and my vampire count, vampire troll, sorry, probably my vampire count and my necromancer. It's there in the big unit, either in the I think not in the graveguard one. It could be splitted, but Banner of Drakenhof, the whole thing, level 4 necromancer, etc. Level 2 vampire with I don't remember what weapons. But lately, in my latest battles, I have not been equipping them with any magical weapons and anything like that, because it's really fancy. It's like it wasn't, for at least for me, or what I have been playing, or what I've been seeing on my lists. It really doesn't do much. These great weapons. Vampires by themselves are already great warriors. You don't need to extra them. It's not going to make much of a difference, and you waste the points that you can invest in other sorts of units or buff up your units more. Anyway, so and another unit of hounds on his side. Now, if I remember correctly, he used an army composition in which it was 2 units of Illyrian River, sorry, of Lothern Sea Guard with Aisha, his battle standard bearer. So I think he didn't have any mages on this list, and all those small units that you see in between are cosplaying as White Lions of Grace. So the Phoenix Guard over there is White Lions of Grace, White Lions of Grace, and White Lions of Grace, and 2 of Lothern Sea Guard. Anyway, let's go to the next picture. On the next picture, I think he got first turn, or I think I got it. But the first thing that I realized over here is I deployed really fast without thinking the consequences of it, and this is one. Even with the unit of Graveguard that you have them, that they have the possibility to readdress their ranks because of drilled, I completely block myself, so not much of my units can move. Of course, I take control of the objective on the far right, so I can start claiming those points. But in the very center, everything is blocking everything, and we will see later on. Oh, by the way, I put another a Tomb Banshee over there, which is that Age of Sigmar vampire countess. It's cosplaying as my Banshee, just to see how the whole Wailing Dirge works. Anyway, uh, uh, you know, um, spoiler alert, it doesn't really work that great. Anyway, so moving everything to the front, casting perhaps some spells. If it was dark magic, I don't remember. Um, but Van Hell's Dance, anything that I could get. And now let's see the next picture to see what happens. On the next picture, he goes for the engagement. So he goes into the middle to fight my troops, and this is what I meant with this is the disruption to my own units. Um, so probably I created, he readdressed his ranks and charge my unit. So he formed, and his other units are blocking also his charges. So it's difficult for him to get with the unit of white lions on my flank, but the other units are there getting close to it. The on the right, on the right, the dire wolves charge the unit of white lions. They're gonna get wiped out, but at least I can claim a little bit more of victory points before anything. Um, yeah, so the vampire counts and everybody, in order for him to avoid the backlash of my vampire count or my heroes slaughtering his unit, I think Aisha rejected the challenge because the vampire count was just going to kill her. And he issued a challenge with, or I issue a challenge, and he responded it with the captain of the unit, which is the good thing about also, for example, that's why he's using small units of white lions. So because they got this bonification that they can just answer whoever it is in the unit can keep on answering duels. Um, so they could just keep, sending one guy to get slaughtered, and then the next guy is gonna go and go and go and go. So you can nullify the overkill or how many hits can a unit perform onto another one, and just go for the perhaps the overkill of just 5 plus instead of just receiving so many wounds and thunderstomps and everything. Or if they're really, let's say that they don't have thunderstomps or stomps, but they have a lot of attacks and a lot of things like that, like you mitigate that damage, and you can nullify his assailment spells and his thunderstomps. So that's why it's a good thing to have some white lines upgrades. Maybe you need a 10 to just like avoid that sort of thing. Anyway, but in my particular case, the problem was I'm blocking myself. Like I cannot charge with that graveyard. That graveyard is completely useless because those bones over there are impassable terrains. I cannot pass it. The only way that I can see some action, and my main unit is completely just blocking it, and it's engaged into combat. So the only thing that I can do is just turn around and go from the other side. But that's going to take too much turns, and especially with the vampire counts, it just takes way too much time because of how slow they are. Anyway, the corpse guard in the back, his units are moving forward, taking up the objective over there. So, yeah, so we're on points. We're pretty tight. Let's see what happens in the next picture. Next picture, everything is aligning to the front, to the battlefield. So the Crypt Horrors over there, the Dire Wolves on the other side. The other Dire Wolves are getting the got completely slaughtered, so they're gonna charge against the ghouls. And in the front, well, just trading hits. Probably my skeletons are not doing much damage, and his unit is contesting my duels, so not doing much damage over there. The Banshee, now that I know. The Banshee, the problem with her is that it has to draw a line of sight to throw the Wailing Dirge. So probably just gonna, that little gap over there between the cactus and the bones over there, probably I'm going to put her there to cast some screams against the unit of Lothar Seaguard, see if I get some wounds over there. Let's see what happens in the next picture. Next picture is the same, so I think I can skip this one. Yeah, if you see, well, in this one, the only thing that happened is that the battle standard bearer just went to the back to not get slaughtered by the duel with the vampire count, and also his hero is trying to avoid conflict directly with the vampire counts, which is smart. She can get slaughtered by the vampire count, so it's better to avoid those combats. In the next picture, lots has happened. I mean, like, I think there was an opening, and one of my vampire thralls was very obviously in the line of sight of one of the units of Lothar Seaguard, so they shot him down. The other one charged against the unit of White Lions, so she's gonna get killed or be completely wiped out due to instability. Even with the Dark Vitality, I think it's the one that just mitigates one wound due to instability. It's just too much, and they can hit pretty hard, so that's not gonna work. Graveguard is moving over there. It used one spell as a to get them reserve move, but it's not gonna do much. The whole line is falling apart. The Banshee flew to the other side to try to fight a unit over there of White Lions. Try to cause maybe some terror or something, but probably it's just gonna get wiped out. Now, if you see those like red dices, those red dices indicate the amount of wounds on the unit. Because here's the thing: like if I remove unit by unit or miniature by miniature of my blocks of undead, man, I'm just gonna break the pieces of them because they're very weak, very uh, difficult to assemble, and they're very delicate units. So I don't want to break them, so I use this hit point system, and it works pretty well. You just gotta remind that some of the units are done, and then when it's on stability, you just take them out of the map, something like that. Anyway, so the battle line's not working very well for the vampire count. This is another experimental list that I'm trying. I'm trying the units, but I'm getting closer to understanding what works better and what really puts more damage in the battlefield. But as I said, it's an experimental thing, and you always try what you think it could work best. Anyway, so his units are charging. Probably those crypt horrors are gonna get smashed. Everything on the left side seems to not be holding up, and on the right side, I don't think they're gonna hold up for much longer. Let's see the next picture. In the next picture, it's pretty much an overview. It's the same thing, of same thing that's happening. I don't really recall why is his unit of Lothern Seaguard on the back. I don't think they got wiped out. Maybe they flee because of terror, but I don't think so because the Banshee would have been eliminated just by combat resolution. They're holding off. It's pretty much the same thing. Nothing has happened. Let's see what happens in the next one. In the next one, the vampire thrall gets slaughtered. The Lothern Seagull released itself. It's ready for flank charge. My Graveguard, which is terribly positioned. His unit charged again. The Lothern Seaguard charged again against my unit. And yeah, I mean, I think this or maybe the next one is going to be the last one. The ghouls have sustained too much wounds, so they're not going to make much of an impact over there. The Banshee uses Wailing Dirge, which is not really great. Next picture. Yeah, okay, the ghouls got wiped out. The Banshee got killed. My main unit of skeletons and my pyre count and everything, proton stability and so much combat rest from his side completely was killed. So the only thing that I got is my necromancer, a corpse guard, and a grave guard that hasn't done anything. So and yeah, so that was the last picture. So what can I conclude about this battle? Well, the thing is, what units work? Again, the Great Guard didn't do much, but this was because the blockage that I did to myself during my deployment. It wasn't a pretty good deployment, and my army composition has a lot of units that really are not putting a lot of damage in the battlefield. And so I think for the next one, I'm going to try to fix those mistakes. His battle line was much more solid. It made more sense, and my units are not able to just like take these other units by itself. The Wailing Dirge, I was experimenting with it. It's not really great when you're going against units that have very high leadership. Now you can use some hexes to try to bring their leadership down, and with the Wailing Dirge, it's -2 to the leadership. So you can try to do that, but really the amount of wounds that you're gonna cause are not gonna be that great. Now I heard of some strategies of some people that are using so many Wailing Dirges with they use it is what's the name of this thing? Oh yeah, the Mortis engine plus one Banshee plus the Terror guys. Now when it comes to these units, I'm not criticizing what the people put in the battlefield, but all of these units that they mentioned, they can be countered pretty easily by other things. They can, if you're going against high elves, they can just use the Sisters of Avalon. They can just put 2 units of this and wipe those units out. You know, they got great shots, and at sixes, they completely just negate your armor save. So it's like, and your regeneration save with these things is not really great. And you're sharing the same wound profile, the rider with the thing, so I don't really recommend it. With when it comes to the Mortis engine, it's even worse because it's a large target. They can get into position and just shut it down. You know, it has a terrible armor save. It's prone to instability. It's a large target, and it can be shut down by the Sisters of Avalon. Like if you don't put Sisters of Avalon in your army, you're not really you're not really putting anything. It's just one of those great units that you're not putting in your army, so it's not really worth it. And when it comes to, for example, units of so that's the Mortis engine, so it's not gonna stay great against a lot of shots. And then the other one is like all the monsters, like the Terrorgeist and anything. I mean, you got it's like a dragon, but the problem is like if you lose combat rest, which with the new rules of infantry, you are going to lose combat rest. You're just gonna get him destroyed. He's gonna give to the enemy the points. And all those wailing dirges, it doesn't really like if you concentrate them into big units or big blocks of units, it doesn't really does that much damage. I don't see it causing that much damage. I think it's more solid if you just use your which I used in my next battle reports. I just like, here's the thing, like in my next battle report, I actually win. And here's why it happened. And I'm going to demonstrate it in the next battle report. But for now, I'll just tell you what I did. Now, here's the thing, like with the vampire count doesn't really work. I mean, it's like an overpriced unit, which it's not performing really well. And why do I say that? It's because it's a mage that you get a it's a mage that is going to be at most level 2. So you get 2 spells, which I recommend again go for dark magic. Why? Because the signature spell is Doombolt, which is you get a missile starting from over there that has 24 H's and you can cast it on 8 plus and it does a lot of damage against armies kind of like high elves and things like that. So go for the Doombolt. This is one thing that I have realized. That's a great spell that you can put in your army. So go for the Doom Bolt. But the thing is, like, you have to pay Master of the Dark cards, or I don't remember which one of its vampiric powers, so you can turn it into a level 3, and now he can cast on 2 plus. But really, the amount of spells, they are very situational, vortexes and things like that, they don't really matter much. And you sacrifice a certain spell, like it's Doombolt, for a vortex, which I don't see how much they work in passable terrain and things like that. Haven't experimented a lot with vortexes, but later on I will. But Doombolt is great. And the problem is like you gotta choose between you're gonna cast a magic missile or you're gonna use a vortex. So I go for the Doombolt 100% of the times. But what you can do, and it's much cheaper, is instead of putting a vampire lord, put a vampire thrall. Make him a level 1 wizard, of course gonna cost on 1 plus, but it's on 7s, and you put him on dark magic, and you choose of course the signature spell Doombolt. Now, how many vampire thralls can you throw in the equation? Well, I've made my next list. I make 6 of them. So I had 6 Doombolts to cast against the enemy. 24 inches, 8 plus it is. Now it's 7 plus because of 1 plus on casting. Now that's more efficient. And you can cast some of them because it's a small template. You can cast, imagine casting 6 Doombolts against a unit like a big block of spearmen from the Empire or spearmen from the High Elves. They got no chance. Even with the low strength, it's gonna cause a lot of damage. So I would just go for a big block of skeletons so they can resist. They're more bulky with the Drakenclaw Manor, so you can put your regeneration at a 5 plus and put like 6 vampire thrones on it. One is a battle standard bearer, so you're prone to instability. You got a D3 on less units that are gonna crumble. And just Doombolt. Just cast Doombolt as many times as you can against this Death Star and just try to dwindle his numbers as much as possible. You know, go for the Death Stars, go for things like that. It's not gonna work against big enemies or monsters and things like that. Why? Because these big enemies and monsters are just gonna get 1 wound, and since it's strength 3, it's going to hit them on a so it's not really worth it. But against big blocks of units that have toughness 3, Dumbold, why not? And then another recommendation that I will do is just get a vampire, get a necromancer, a level 2 necromancer, put them the ruby ring of fire, so you can get also a fireball, and choose illusion and go for the signature spell, which is glittering robe, and you get a -1 to hit on your big block Death Star. So you're looking at a unit that has -1 to hit on any single kind of attack that goes into it. You got it on a 5+ regeneration. You got a good bunker of 60 wounds. You got so many boom bolts coming out of it to hit any unit that is 24 inches. And it's amazing. It's a great unit that has a lot of potential to put a lot of damage into the battlefield. And I think this is the thing, because that's what I actually just used in the next list, and it was disastrous for my brother. Now the other thing is, like, we were playing, we had a little bit of mistakes over there with our rules, because I misinterpreted the rules that came with the corpse card. I said, like, oh, the corpse card has +1 to casting. That was not that was not true. That was from fantasy, and it didn't carry out to old world. And well, the Mortis engine actually, it does have a +1 to wound, +1 to casting, but it's very it could cause you some damage, if you get doubles and things like that. Anyway, but I'm going way out of what happened in this battle report. So yeah, victory for the vampire guns, for the high elves. Much things to learn and to correct, but you're gonna see it in the next battle report, which is pretty much just aligning with kind of what the way that I'm going to start playing my vampire counts. But yeah, it's missing a lot of units that don't really work. But yeah, we shall see the next battle report. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.